So today's a bit of a weird one, because I feel like I've almost been living a lie, Carl.
How have you been living a lie, my friend?
So, it turns out, this video is about a certain Rambo.
Okay, John Rambo, yes, I'm listening.
It's about the movie, but I feel lied to, because this movie's not called Rambo.
No, it's called First Blood.
It's just First Blood. I always thought that it was Rambo, First Blood, and then when I went to go and, watch the film, and I just googled Rambo movie, where to watch it, and, the 2012, Rambo reboot one comes out. Well, it's just Rambo. It's there's no movie called Rambo, at least not from the 80s.
Yeah, it's normally just referred to as Rambo 1, because that's just how movies work.
Because it spawned a franchise of the Rambo movies afterwards, right?
Yes, which it probably shouldn't have, as the Wiki will probably reveal as we go in. Because I know a lot about Rambo and the Rambo franchise and the character. You, on the other hand, do not, my friend, yes?
The most I really knew about First Blood was the fact that, in Always Sunny, Danny DeVito does a parody where it's just Danny DeVito with the tank top and the bandana go, "They drew First Blood."
They drew first blood.
What is that? Is that Rambo?
No, I made that up.
No, yeah. That's Rambo.
Here's the thing as well. I can see that. I can see a reboot with Danny DeVito. Make him Wolverine.
Oh, God. They should have had him as a Wolverine cameo. And not only do I feel a bit lied to about the title of this film, I kind of feel almost lied to from, what pop culture taught me about Rambo as, a franchise, right?
Yes, because here's the thing. We talked about this when we did the character of John Rambo on Wiki Weekends all those years ago. And I talked about how when people think Rambo, they think, and you can just put a clip in here of him just firing the M60 in the air.
Yeah.
They think that, right? They think shirtless Sylvester Stallone firing an M60 while going, "Rah!" That's not Rambo. The first Rambo movie is a drama.
The franchise, almost from the sounds of it, looking up just the other movies and stuff when I got confused, it seems like it immediately jumped into dumb action territory after First Blood.
Almost immediately, yes, which is why it's such a jarring, presumably it's such a jarring experience for you to watch the first Rambo movie and go, Rambo doesn't kill a single person in that movie. One person dies by accident.
By accident and in self-defense, and I would argue that, maybe some of those other people are gonna either die from wounds over time, or he blows up a police car, and it's not confirmed whether he kills anyone in there, but it looks like that could kill.
To be fair, the only people he attacks in that movie are police officers, so they're not really people.
Fucking not in this movie, they're not.
Galt, what the fuck was that?
Well, a man said clean him up. Clean him up.
Isn't Teasel such an arsehole?
They all are, apart from, I think, the ginger guy, Mitch, I think he was called.
David Caruso, yeah.
Yes, yeah. He's just there, clearly something's a bit off about this guy. Maybe, we should stop beating the shit out of him. When he sees all of the scars on his body and stuff, he's like,
yep,
this guy's been through a lot. Maybe we shouldn't be beating the shit out of him.
Holy shit, look at this. What the hell's he been into?
Who gives a shit?
There's just, as well, so many... Because that's one of the things Rambo himself says, right, isn't it? I gave you so many chances. Don't follow me. Or, and one of Sylvester Stallone's best lines of just, I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Which he does.
And there are so many hints prior to that point of maybe you shouldn't mess with this guy. With this pull out the giant knife, it's what do you use this for? Hunting.
What are you hunting with this knife? It's don't worry about it, it's fine.
Why would you be carrying a knife like this?
Hunting.
I wouldn't be surprised if one day Rambo was just walking around with a bear, just an entire bear body, just eating it away. Just watching this movie, I was like, okay, well, they treat him like an asshole from second one, and he's kind of just running away. It's not really he's doing much, and then the one cop drops from the helicopter and dies after he throws one single rock at the helicopter.
Thing is, though, that's a good throw, that rock, though, isn't it?
It's right. But they explain that they're caught in like a difficult position to pilot.
That cop who dies brings it on himself 100%. He has many opportunities. He's trying to shoot an unarmed fleeing man in the back.
The pilot's even telling him, like, what are you doing? Like, we're not meant to be shooting at this guy. He completely asks for it, and although Rambo didn't intend to kill him at that moment, he kind of has it come in.
You can't really feel bad for him, can you? Like, he was trying to shoot an unarmed man in the back and he threw a rocket at him and he fell over.
And then he even comes out and puts his hands up and is like, I didn't intend for this to happen.
It was self-defense.
One person died and I don't want more.
And he even says that when he gets, like, teased all by the throat, right? He's like, I could have killed you all.
Yeah.
I could have killed them all. I could have killed you. In town, you're the law. Out here, it's me. Don't push it.
Instead, all I did was, like, put you all into torture devices.
It's the one guy who gets it in the dick.
Oh, God,
I know
yeah.
that they didn't intend... They intend for it, obviously, to hit him in the thigh. Like the guy who gets, like, the spiked sticks to his legs. But just the way the actor is stood, it looks like he hit him in the dick. Why did Rambo have to get his dick?
And then, like... You're like, oh, you know, he wanted a walkie-talkie, he just cut that guy's leg a little bit, and then afterwards it's like, oh no, then he just straight up stands as a trap in front of one of the other police officers and then just jumps out of the way of the bullets when they shoot.
I bet as well Death Battle would power scale that and it's like, Rambo can dodge at bullet speed.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we just saw the guy raise a gun and jumps out of the way.
Mm-hmm. To go more into what the actual movie is, First Blood is a 1982 American action film directed by Ted Kotcheff and co-written by and starring Sylvester Stallone as a Vietnam War veteran, John Rambo. The fact that he's a Vietnam War vet not only plays a big part in the fact that, oh, this guy can set up a bunch of, like, murder traps for people.
Yeah, it's the stupidest decision I've seen, like, a antagonistic force in a movie make of. Let's follow the Special Forces operative who's a veteran of Vietnam into the jungle.
When they figure out that he's, like, a Green Beret war hero.
Let's follow the Green Beret with PTSD into the jungle.
Literally, they find out and that Mitch is like, oh yeah, I knew there was something up with that guy. Like, clearly... we shouldn't be messing around with him. And he's even smiling when he says it because he's like, I knew it.
John Rambo is a Vietnam vet. He's a Green Beret, Congressional Medal of Honor. Guy's a war hero.
I knew there was something about that guy.
It's a nice little bit of acting from David Caruso in that moment where he's smiling because, like, he's obviously the guy who gets it the worst at the station. Because if you notice, he's the only one who's wearing his uniform properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a cool detail is he's wearing his full, proper, buttoned-up uniform and all the other police officers don't care.
Yeah.
They've all got, like, something, like, a bit skew with their uniform, which is a nice little bit of costume design show the cops aren't on the up and up. Also, the fact they're beating an unarmed suspect in their custody, probably should have given that away a bit more as well.
Mm-hmm. I had to do a little bit of research into, like, kind of the context in which this movie was made. Obviously, this movie's like 10 years older than I am, and I'm also not American.
Yes.
So, to me, the way that he was treated at the beginning of the film, where, like, the cop specifically pulls up and is like, oh, it's very bold of you to be wearing that outfit right now, and it's like his literal veteran gear, right?
Yes.
He's specifically a Vietnam War vet, apparently. Like, you know, correct me in the comments, obviously, but from what I could find out from looking things up is just, it's talking about how specifically Vietnam War vets were treated horribly because essentially they were, like, told to retreat and lose, and they were seen as, like, cowards.
Well, there's a lot of discourse about this where there's very little evidence any of this occurred, and all of the evidence is anecdotal, and a lot of the people who give it the information anecdotally didn't, serve during Vietnam.
And that's
there's a lot of,
problem,
stolen valor when it comes to Vietnam. Actual Vietnam vets have, discredited that. There's some people who did get some shit, maybe they were in a barn, someone gave, so we can't speak to everyone's experience. That's why it's such a controversial topic.
Yeah, but that's kind of the leaning that this movie seems to be taking, right? A Vietnam War vet that, as you say, he has PTSD, very clearly, and he also just hasn't been able to hold down a job. His memories are just haunting him that much. He just literally talks at the end of the movie about like how harrowing it is that like one of his teammates literally blew up onto him.
Yep.
He constantly thinks about it like day in, day out when he...
He's fucking screaming, there's pieces of him all over me, just like this, and I'm trying to pull him off, you know, and it's my friend that's all over me.
He's just now been abandoned by society, and they make a lot of remarks about his appearance in terms of like, well, he's got long hair and he's not clean shaven. Seemingly, again, things were... that was a bit less like acceptable back in the day.
Yeah, and also just the fact that he's the last person from his team. Because right at the start of the film, it's like, hey, my buddy, he's a huge big dude. Like, you must have seen him, like, he's so recognisable. Cancer got him, Agent Orange. Which that is a thing. Mm-hmm. The Agent Orange they dropped in Vietnam did give a bunch of vets cancer.
Yeah, he literally says, doesn't he? He's like, they all died, and he's, oh no, you've got one teammate. He's like, no, he died in Vietnam too, he just didn't know it yet.
There he's gone too, sir. Got himself killed in now. Didn't even know it. Cancer ate him down to the bone.
It's just way more of a actually thought-provoking movie than I thought it was going to be.
Also, isn't Sylvester Stallone a good actor? Again, because probably the reputation you've got of him as an actor is like Demolition Man and stuff. Mm-hmm. That bit at the end where he's like, you know, the war's over, and it's like, nothing is over!
Yeah.
The anger when he screams that line, it's like, nothing is over.
It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing!
That was a really affecting part of the film, right? And I do think there's, throughout the cast, there's some questionable acting choices, especially like in the middle part of the movie where they're all just screaming at each other in this forest.
I think the worst actor is the guy who plays the general. I think it's double checked, it's Richard Crenna. Yeah, Richard Crenna, because he plays it way too buttoned up. Everything else in the film feels really realistic. His lines feel like they were written. I know all the lines were written.
Yes.
But it's like when he walks in and gives the speech about eat things that would make a billy goat puke. It sounds too rehearsed.
It's a lot less naturalistic language than the rest of the movie, yeah. Especially like when he like shows up at the tent, oh, you know, what made this man? I made this man.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I made Rambo. But then again, that's kind of part of his character, because then throughout the film, that drops away. Because like when he's talking on the mic, or the walkie-talkie with Rambo, and he's just going through the motions. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you know, just calling Eagle. And then Rambo asks him a question that actually disarms him, of like, well, I called up Bragg, and they said you were busy. And you see him like have to like come up with something on the fly of like, yeah, I've been polishing a seat with my ass. Come on now, Rambo, come back in.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, I haven't been there much lately. Like, I'm down in DC or whatever now.
And then right at the end of the film, where like Rambo has like his breakdown, like he completely drops that facade and just realizes like, this guy needs help.
I do actually appreciate that it isn't some kind of thing where he sets him up for the police and just talks him down and he gets arrested or whatever. No, he actually sticks to his word and is, no, let's get you some help. I'm not going to let just these random fucking policemen in bumfuck middle of nowhere just beat the shit out of you. Let's actually take you back. Let's try and get you the help that you need.
Did you like any favourite parts of the film? Because I did rewatch it recently.
Well,
so me and you are both in a very similar boat here.
I did enjoy a lot of it, but it is funny how, like, as the movie goes on and they push Rambo further and further, you kind of have to, at some point, stop feeling just entirely sorry for Rambo's situation when he starts, like, blowing up the entire town.
Yeah, but that's when he just has his full PTSD break, right?
Yeah,
that's where he's just like, he's so annoyed. And my favourite moment is a moment I never clocked. It was my most recent rewatch where Rambo, throughout the film, is very reserved, very withdrawn. Mm-hmm. Like, he barely emotes throughout the entire film, except for, like, right towards the very end, where he, like, you know, just breaks down. Mm-hmm. But just before that, do you know when he jumps into the truck?
I love that.
He jumps into the truck, and he holds the guy up at, like, gunpoint and says, come on, buckle up. Keep your eye on the road.
Mm-hmm. Don't look at me, look at the road. That's how accidents happen.
That's such a great little moment, because Rambo is suddenly, he's in his element again because he's back in war.
Yeah.
That's Rambo. And he's only able to do that because he thinks he's at war again. So suddenly, he's talking, he's making quips.
Yeah.
And I never clocked that before, that he looks at the guy and he makes a little joke of, go on, keep your eyes on the road, it's dangerous.
Like,
he's holding a machine gun to him.
At some point, you see him, as you say, become himself again, and kind of all of the quietness runs away. He is a man on a mission once again, and he has a purpose now.
Yeah. All of that, like, doubt just melts away.
I do find it really funny, the moment where they blow him up in the mine. And just prior to that, you have them all chasing him and, 20 men on one shooting at him while he's running away. And then the moment it becomes a standoff and he shoots back at them, all of them straight away are like, I'm just a fucking volunteer. I ain't going in there with that guy.
Yeah, they say, like, go in there and get him. It's like, I'm not fucking going in there and getting him.
He's like, I've got a job to go, but I've got a family home. I ain't doing that shit.
I want you and Bruce, head around these trees, go to the front of that mine.
Screw that, Clinton. I ain't going up there.
No way.
Literal weekend soldiers. Got him outnumbered 20-1, and they've all got machine guns, and they're scared to go in.
It's like, oh, we managed to, mobilize all these, like, National Guard or whatever it is, or, like, state police thing they say and stuff. Like, but yeah, they're all part-time, just volunteers that are like, I ain't fucking with no Green Beret in a mine. Absolutely
Just
not.
shooting with a rocket launcher. As well, that would build the mythos of Rambo, right? Of they had him outnumbered 20-1 and shot him with a rocket launcher. And then, like, half an hour later, it's not even later that day, the entire town explodes, and he's got an M60. And you're like, what happened? It reminds me of. Like, do you play The Phantom Pain?
I played through about half of it.
Like, do you remember right at the intro where they send Quiet in to kill the boss? Go get this man in a coma, and then 30 seconds later, Quiet flies out the window on fire. And I just think, like, what must, like, those guys think of, like, is one person able, like, this is the boss, right? This is, like, the greatest soldier ever lived. It's like, he's in a coma, what can he do? And you see Quiet fly out on fire. Like, it's like, that's the boss.
Literally, he's been in a coma. He's just a sitting duck. It's going to be fine.
Just like, send in our best operative, and then, like you said, like, not even 10 minutes later, she's just on fire. With Rambo in it, of like, oh, we sent 20 guys with machine guns and a rocket launcher after him, and then just 40 minutes later, the city detonates.
Well, he even says, doesn't he, like, you really think that my 200 men against this one guy is like a 0-win situation for us? Yeah, absolutely. You've got no fucking chance. Don't know what it is with the police in this movie. I don't know if it's meant to be, like, again, some kind of commentary of how many policemen and, like, how many, like, weapons and vehicles they have just in this small, tiny town.
Oh, yeah. They have like an entire arsenal, right? It's like the fact that just Rambo goes in. He's a one-man army. Like, he basically defined the one-man army trope.
Yeah, because even before all the National Guard turn up, immediately, like, they've got 10 men with multiple police cars, like Dobermans, assault rifles, like, within, like, fucking, what, an hour?
Do you know what I think it's one of those things where it wasn't intended as a commentary on the over-militarization of the police, but it can be read as one.
Mm-hmm.
With the gift of hindsight, and, like, now you have, like, police officers with tanks and stuff. It probably wasn't intentional, but it can be read that way, which makes it, it's why going back and watching old movies can be so beneficial.
Yeah, because it's this tiny little town in the middle of nowhere in America.
This podunk town, yeah.
He literally is just like, yeah, this town is boring and we like it this way. It's like one fucking road.
So why do you have like 400 machine guns?
Yeah, why?
Like, the fact that Rambo walks into a gun shop and just gets like 40 shotguns.
Yeah.
So what is this, Dead Rising? One of the bits of the film that I like is just watching like Rambo figure stuff out.
Yeah.
He like makes himself some clothes. Like, he steals the tarp. And he has like the knife, and it has like the thread and the needle in the knife in the base of a knife.
Yeah, like just the moment he hurts himself, he's like, "Oh yeah, cool. Just pop open the bottom of my knife, and I've got my stitches ready to go."
Now I have to think of like Metal Gear Solid as well, where you call Sigint and you talk about your knife, and he's like, "Well, I made you a knife that had a bunch of cool bullshit in the handle," and Snake's like, "That's stupid. My knife would break."
For the sake of just one little piece of. A bit of thread for stitches and stuff. Like, that wouldn't be too much, but...
It also as well looks really cool.
It does, yeah. You know what else is cool, Loco? Just when he's on the cliff and just decides, not only is he going to drop from the cliff, but he's going to, like, belly flop. He's going to, like, go full flying squirrel mode off the cliff.
And that's the thing as well. It's not clean. No. It's not like The Fugitive, where, like, they jump off the edge of the water, or like Harrison Ford jumps off the edge of that, like, I don't know what you call it, the sewer pipe or whatever. And it's like a perfect pencil dive. It is a move made out of desperation. It's not even a move that you think would be possible, but it is possible if you are a green fucking beret.
Yes.
Who's trained to, like, as Richard Crenna comes in and says, is like, ignore pain.
The only time it's clean is when there's the shot of them walking past him hidden in the riverbed, and then just like as they all walk past and don't notice he's there, just like Stallone pops up. It's like, oh, I'm ready.
That's on the level of like in Lord of the Rings where they have like the cloak that turns him into a boulder. And no matter how many times I've watched that scene, I can never spot where Frodo is. But also as well, Rambo was in that scene. We just didn't see him.
We did. He was in every scene Lord of the Rings. We just never knew.
It's so great, right? It's such a good film. Go on, tell me more about it.
Well, Carl, I was going to tell you more about the reason why we were talking about Rambo today, and that's because of our Patreon. Every single month on our $5 tier, you can do a vote for a poll that both Carl and I will put up separately. Like, you get to vote on one topic that I talk about and one topic that Carl talks about. I often have had comments talk about the fact that I've not seen a lot of classic films, and one of them was Rambo, which got voted for today. And a vote that should already be out on the Patreon now, but for next month's topic, is going to be about classic video games.
Ooh, so is this a classic video game you're going to go play all the way through?
I won't be playing all the way through or anything, but I'll probably replay some of it. But I'm gonna ask for your help to decide what like the fourth should be.
Okay.
Because usually we give.
And what's the
four
criteria?
Options. I'm just gonna name 3 games to you. Classic, older arcade style games, and then you can pick a fourth that goes along with those vibes. And I was thinking of doing it Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Mega Man, or a secret fourth option.
And so I get to pick the fourth option.
You do indeed.
Just because I'd like to talk about it, I want House of the Dead.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah.
Because that's an arcade game. It's a bit newer, but the light gun genre doesn't really exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to discover why.
House of the Dead is a good pick. As you say, it's a little bit newer, but I still think that fits within like the criteria of more classic games, especially ones like in the arcade or with the arcadey vibe. So
yes,
over on our Patreon, you can find the link in the description. You can vote for either Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Mega Man, or House of the Dead for me to talk about over in our September video topic.
But as for, August's video topic, tell me more about Rambo.
I'm really surprised that, as I say, there's a lot of like weird bits in terms of acting, and I think like a lot of the ADR stuff that they've done like is clearly a little bit janky, but it did hold up really well considering that this is a 42-year-old movie.
It's infamously had quite a few, not reshoots, but there was a lot of editing. Like, this movie was edited to the bone.
Right.
Because it initially was 3 hours long, was reportedly an absolute slog to get through, and was so bad that Sylvester Stallone considered buying it so he could bury it. He was genuinely worried it would ruin his career.
It says here that it's 93 minutes long, so it was going to be double the length.
Like I said, they cut it to the bone. And that's the thing, they cut it like an action movie.
Yes.
And that's to the film's benefit.
It is, and
It feels like a lot longer movie, though. Not in a bad way, but it feels so much happens in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's a tight 90 minutes.
It is a pretty tight 90 minutes, but it did feel more to me like a film that, because so much goes on, in my brain it did last a little bit longer. Like, it felt like a movie that was like closer to 2 hours, even though it's not.
Yeah, and it also feels like a very modern movie, because it's cut very... Not like aggressively, it was. Yeah, I was going to say maybe not aggressive. No, it was cut aggressively.
It really clearly was if they got rid of half of the movie.
It feels quite modern.
When I was looking it up, it does also say that, like, oh yes, the film is based on the 1972 novel First Blood by David Morrell.
Which I've not read, but I do know what the ending is, because it's the ending, that was the initial ending for the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which you'll presumably get to when you get to development.
It's got a pretty modest budget of $15 million and made $125 million in return, so a good investment. And initial reviews were mixed on the movie, but when I was looking it up, a lot of people were like, no, First Blood is a really good movie, the rest are all schlocky action movies.
Yeah, I say the third one is interesting, because they also had to edit that one, because the ending of number 3 had this, like, it's set in Afghanistan. And it's the Soviets who are the bad guys. So it ended with this thing like, it's dedicated to the brave Mujahideen fighters of Afghanistan.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Because at the time, America was like giving the Afghanistani Mujahideen rocket launchers and stuff. And then in the years since, I'm saying the words America and Afghanistan.
Yeah, relations have soured a little bit, maybe. I just scrolled down to, like, post-production. It says that the rough cut of the film was between 3 and 3.5 hours long.
Yep.
That's got to be rough if you watch that come out and this is going to end me. This is going to end my career.
Now, though, that we've got Rambo, I would not mind. I wouldn't want a 4-hour version. I would not want a 4-hour version of this movie. But I would be interested in a potential director's cut where there's like more of Rambo in the woods, for example.
I mean,
we get to explore more of his character.
Knowing that this became a successful movie and franchise, it would be very interesting to see a version where there was that 3-hour cut. Not that it would make for a good film, just an intriguing watch, perhaps.
With the legacy that the film has, I would be very interested in seeing that footage, but I would not want to sit through a 4-hour version of Rambo.
Nothing is over! Nothing!
I'm not even sure if that footage still exists.
Yeah.
So, it's a movie from 40 years ago.
You would think if it did exist, it would have already been released at this point, right?
It sounds like the kind of thing that I would have already owned.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware of, like, the ridiculously long initial cut and the fact that it was cut to the bone. In all my years of being a fan, I've never heard of any of that footage surfacing. The original ending still exists.
Well, it does say the ending used in the finished film was actually shot in March 1982 after the original one was already deemed unsatisfactory.
Okay, they presumably had to, because if you get to the original ending, yeah, that kind of suggests that they wouldn't have had Sylvester Stallone, they wouldn't have any footage.
And it does have like a little bit here which looks to talk about the ending, so we can go through that. One of the differences that Morell's book has Rambo kill many of his pursuers, and Kozel and Sackheim's draft had him killing 16 people.
It's a lot more explicit in the book, but also it makes the ending to the book make a lot more thematic sense. So the original ending was?
Well, it says here that Stallone also decided to let Rambo survive the film, unlike in the book. So there's that big difference there. It's just that in the book, Rambo doesn't make it.
Yep, he was supposed to fucking die. And in the film, I'm not sure how it is in the book, I think he might get shot by the police, but in the film, Rambo commits suicide. And we do know that that ending exists, and it's really bad.
Right.
Because it's just such a downer ending, because, like, especially after that, the heartbreak of Rambo being like, yeah, my life fucking sucks, and he just blows his own head off with a gun.
God, yeah, especially after watching that part where Stallone has just a complete breakdown. It's like, my life has been horrible because of going to that war and coming back and being treated like a non-person and just being discarded by society, and then to just end it on that note would, yeah.
Also, as well, imagine, Lucas, sitting through a 4-hour long movie where the main character kills himself, like, right at the end.
Yeah.
That would be such a downer movie, right?
It would be. It sounds like audiences were already going to have been in a real rough place just from watching an awful movie from the sounds of it at that point.
Yeah.
Let alone having to deal with that at the end. And it also just, thinking Hollywood kind of corporation size, it wouldn't make for a very good franchise, would it? If Rambo didn't make it past the first movie.
Unless they do a prequel, which there's been rumours for a prequel for years.
Presume, obviously, that would have nothing to do with Stallone at that point then.
He'd probably be a producer the same way as a producer on Rocky.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a Rocky prequel as well that he's set to be producing.
And it's really jarring and does kind of make you feel a little bit bad about Hollywood and just the fact that everything has to be a franchise, because you watch this movie and it's still like pretty poignant, even though maybe you need to look up a little bit like the context of the time. It's still, one of those movies where it's just ostensibly talking about the fact that we disregard war veterans, right?
Yes.
And like the fact that they just don't get the help that they need. And it's just really then depressing to see, but that movie then became just a franchise with 6 other movies in it or something, all about Rambo just going on rampages.
Admittedly, in the second movie, it's about they get Rambo to go back in by telling him there's some Vietnam War veterans we super double forgot about because they're still in the camps. And Rambo's like, well, fuck that.
Immediately, it sours my taste on this movie when I know that the point of the movie's immediately just going to get ruined by the next one.
I think just Rambo was okay. That's the one where it's in, I think it's Cambodia or Burma, maybe. It's been a while since I watched that one, because that's the one where Sylvester Stallone was like, I fucking hate all these shit-ass action movies where people don't explode and there's no blood. So I'm going to make the bloodiest action movie, and the final 15 minutes of that movie is Rambo on an M60 just cutting people. I think, no, it's like 50 cal. And people just explode.
I mean, that's kind of fitting when you think about First Blood, where, for the most part, it's a pretty tense movie about a man on the run, and then the end of the movie is like, just fuck this town, with just blowing up everything in sight. He's obviously trying to get to the police chief, but he just starts shooting up random stores in the middle of town and stuff.
To distract him, though.
I know, but he goes a bit over the top with it.
Admittedly, he'd had a very bad day.
He did have a terrible fucking day or two, yeah. It's just when you go like, oh, okay, well, he drove into the gas station. I guess he's just, done with the vehicle. Then he blows up the vehicle, which then blows up the gas station, which then blows up all the cars around the gas station.
But now for a second, Lucas, put yourself in the position of Sheriff Teasel, and how fucking scared would you be?
Oh, terrified, yeah.
Imagine if you think, like, oh, Rambo's coming to get you. Is that why I'm in a police station, I'm surrounded by guns, I'm on top of the building, I've got perfect line of sight, 360, and then just random buildings start exploding.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's war tactics.
But the explosions are getting closer, Lucas. They're getting closer.
Every single building around you is, like, getting shot up, blowing up, the lights are all being shot out. It would be scary as shit. It's not that I don't think his methods are effective, it's just that he goes from the dude in the first half of the movie that I don't want any more violence to just fuck it, we're done now.
Admittedly, though, like he did say, I didn't want any trouble, and they tried shooting him, so he's like, well, fuck him.
Exactly, yeah. They all started shooting directly at him while he was
at that point, it's
unarmed.
self-defense.
It's like, yeah, as he says, they drew first blood. I just find it very fucking funny, though, that what do you call the sequel to, like, First Blood? It's First Blood Part 2. It's like, do you mean Second Blood? Like,
I do give them props, though, for calling the last one Last Blood.
Oh, that's a pretty good name. And
calling the last one Last Blood, and it does have, like, the absolute just roughest thing that Rambo does, where he tells, like, the main bad guy, I'm going to rip your heart out and show it to you. And the main bad guy's like, you'll never do that. And spoilers. Rambo. He gets him. And he rips his heart out when he shows it to him before he dies.
Oh, I now can't wait for Last Blood Part 2.
That would be so, if they called it Last Blood Part 2, I'd be so in. I'd be like 100% in, I won't even give a fuck.
That's the thing, right, is they do it quite often with, like, horror franchises where it's like, this is the last one. Honest, it's the last one.
It's either Halloween, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street. One of those movies has multiple films within its franchise with the word final in it. That's not the final movie, if not all of them.
Halloween, I know there's Halloween Ends, right?
Which is not the last one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, did Halloween end? Or did you really need to get Jamie Lee Curtis back again? So yeah, I really can't wait to find out that they've made Last Blood Part 2 and 3.
It's like when you're saving a file, isn't it? Probably when you're doing this edit, and it's like Wiki Weekends, Rambo, final part 2, final for real this time.
The final for real this time fix. It's
because there's all we're gonna get copyright struck out the balls for putting clips in.
Mm-hmm. But thank you all for joining us on this journey down, a over 40-year-old movie, and I can't wait to see more classic action films. I think I'm going to do, like, every other vote that I do will be people voting for another classic action film that I choose to watch, and there's plenty of movies that I've not watched, Carl, as you found out the other day when I'd dropped the bomb that I've never seen Bad Boys 2.
I can't believe that you've literally not seen Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys 2? No, you ain't seen Bad Boys 2.
How did you not watch it just after the scene in, like, Hot Fuzz? Like, how did you watch Hot Fuzz? Like, did you just not get any of the references?
I get the references, like, on a surface level, but I also just find it very funny, because if I never watch Bad Boys 2, that means that every time I watch Hot Fuzz, I get to laugh at the fact I've never watched Bad Boys 2.
You've never seen Bad Boys? Like, that means you've not seen the bit. You can go get this clip at the very least.
Okay.
And it's where, like, the opening to that movie is a KKK rally where Will Smith is disguised as a member of the Klan, and he bursts out of the fucking hood underneath a burning cross with dual Desert Eagles and starts gunning down the KKK. And that's how the movie starts.
Motherfuckers, Miami PD.
And the thing is, I wonder whether I've seen any of those movies referenced in Hot Fuzz, because I know I haven't seen Point Break either. So, like, I wonder if that, like, actual scene where he's like, here's all the action films you need to watch, maybe I've never watched any of them.
You could do that as one of, like, the votes of just one of the movies referenced in Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz. That
could be the vote for, like, I was going to say Octobers, but maybe for Octobers we should both do, like, horror franchise votes, right?
Hell yeah.
We should probably do something spooky
No, I
related.
should not do horror franchises, because everyone knows I love horror movies. I'll not do horror, and that'll be the joke.
Thank you all for joining, and I hope everyone has a lovely day.
Cheers, everybody.